Well, good morning, Mon Petite, from a site that makes me very, very happy. It's one of my favourite things about our bedroom is the beautiful morning light that hits it. It is very exciting that it is officially light at about 5:30 in the morning now, which always makes me so happy because I am a morning riser, I am an early bird, I love being up bright and early, and when the sun shines like this, it just puts me in the best mood. It makes me want to be outside. I might even put my dressing gown on and go and have my morning coffee outside and just soak in a little bit of fresh air because the sunrise this morning has just been magical, and the light that hits this room makes me so happy. So I'm going to go downstairs and make my morning coffee, but what a view to wake up to. Well, a proper good morning, Mon Petite. I'm not gonna lie to you, I just woke up in the best mood. I literally just had to go and grab my camera and show you the beautiful light streaming into our bedroom because it's just magical being able to wake up to sunshine, listen to the birdsong. It really does feel like spring has officially sprung, and considering it's the beginning of May, it is about time being able to go outside. In fact, it's literally my first morning since moving into this house. I've been able to go outside and have my morning cup of tea, sitting outside listening to the birdsong. And I did have a cup of tea instead of a coffee actually, because I'm really trying not to have coffees too early on in the morning. If you are a coffee girl, take this as a sign to try and switch to a morning cup of tea instead, because there's still a little bit of caffeine in there, but it's just a much slower and more natural way to wake up your body. And I absolutely love it, just sitting outside listening to the birdsong. It's a little bit chilly, there's a little bit of a breeze in the air, but it really does feel like spring is on its way, and it makes me so happy. It's one of my favorite things about living here. It's just listening to the birdsong. Even though we're in a village, there's just so much greenery surrounding us, and it just means that we get the best sounds to wake up to in the morning. It literally feels like the birds are singing you awake, and I just absolutely love it. And I couldn't think of a better way to start my Tuesday morning than just sitting outside in the garden, having my morning tea and listening to the birdsong. And you actually got a real sneaky peeky of a view you have not seen before. I have been keeping the garden really under wraps, and it is finally ready to show you, to start talking about. I feel like it's actually the opposite of finished now. It is started now with the garden, because the garden has been a bit of a journey, I'm not gonna lie to you. And I don't think either Alex or I realized how much it was gonna be a journey in just to get to this point. It has taken us a really long time. Pretty much every weekend since we moved in, we've been doing a bit of gardening, we've been doing like work there just to kind of like get it to this point, because I really wanted to make it a blank canvas. I wanted to have some like empty borders, I wanted to have some like really clear spaces so that I can have so much fun with the gardening content this year, and I can basically just really make it our own, because we loved the garden from our old house. We were so lucky with how beautiful the garden was, like the wisteria, the borders were great. I love doing my pots, but there's just something different about having your own at home that you can really have fun with, that you can really make your own. And I just feel like it's gonna be the perfect country cottage garden by the end of this summer, which makes me so happy. But it really has taken us quite a while to get to this point, because the custodians that lived here before us were the loveliest, but they definitely weren't gardeners, and I don't think they knew what they were doing, because it was overrun by brambles, and also overrun with what we thought were snowdrops was actually wild garlic. And if you know anything about wild garlic, you will know it is one of the most invasive plants ever. In fact, I've actually found out, because I was doing a little bit of research about it, it's illegal to plant wild garlic in the wild because it's so invasive, it will just completely take over. So it's taken us so many weeks just to dig it out, because as much as it's lovely when it's like a bed of wild garlic in the New Forest and like you're going on country walks, I didn't really want it in my own country cottage garden. It's not really country cottage garden vibe, so we've been digging that up. In fact, it was literally like strangling some of the plants. We've been moving some things around, and we've also been like redoing the layout, essentially. Do you know what I might do, actually? Alex did this really, really clever thing on his iPad where he basically created like a bit of a sketch. So we took a before photo. So this is the only photo I really have, and I kind of wish I got more footage from before. And this is so silly. And if you are currently undergoing renovations, if you're about to buy a house, please take this from me. Take as many before photos and videos as you possibly can, because I didn't take any for the pure reason, and this is the silliest thing, when I admit it out loud, I can't believe I'm actually saying this, I was a bit embarrassed about how it looked, because it was just so neglected, it was so overgrown, and I was almost embarrassed to like take videos and photos, which is ridiculous because the work that we've done now, I wish that I had more footage so that I can look back on and like look at our progress so far. So Alex managed to get this photo, which is the garden pretty much untouched. This was before I really did anything. In fact, it isn't even untouched because he dug out literally what was basically, see if I can hold this iPad a little bit better, it was basically just a bramble bush like in the corner of the garden over here. So this is what it looked like before, and we were having big discussions about what we wanted to do, how we wanted to open up the garden, because it is a small garden. It's just a small country cottage garden. It's nothing like huge or spectacular. And one of the main things he said is he basically wanted to elongate the grass, get rid of this border beside the shed, and also, can you see this? These steps are in this weird like, the tiles are in a weird like kind of stepstone. So this is the sketch that he created, which honestly I just think is so cool, and just kind of goes to show the vision that we have for the garden and what we really want to like create from it. So as you can see, the lawn is like a lot longer. As much as I'm not the kind of person that like I love a big expansive lawn, I just feel like kind of squaring it off really helps with regards to like the elongation of the garden. We wanted to plant some new plants in this border. We do have quite a few established plants, which is lovely, but we definitely like to add some more in. And then this is going to be a much lower border, so it's going to be, I'm thinking like lavender, salvia, I think would be absolutely amazing. Some beautiful plants there. And then we've also actually created another border on this side over here. We actually dug up some of the tiles. My dad came with like some kind of saw thing, don't know how he did it, but he managed to cut through the slabs for us, and we've created another border in the side here because it was very much like one-sided with regards to the flowers and the arrangements. And I'm the kind of person that I just, what is the opposite of an empty garden? That's what I love, like maximalist in gardening viewpoints. Like I love so many flowers and so much foliage, and I just love it to be as full as possible, and that's exactly what we wanted it to create. So this is kind of like a bit of a, quite a two-dimensional viewpoint though of what we wanted to create, but it just goes to show the kind of like difference. So before of what it looked like, as you can see, very messy. As you can see, it's not really like bordered off very well, and then this is what we wanted to create. So let's go outside because I feel like it's finally time to properly start talking it through the garden. I can give you a little bit of a garden tour, and we can kind of use this as like our viewpoint of like, this is the beginning, this is the before that we're at now, and I can't wait to see what we're going to be creating. I can't wait to go plant shopping, buy some new things. I need to pot up my hydrangea that I bought yesterday, which I'm debating whether to pot it up or put it in a border. I'm undecided what to do, but let me go out and show you because I'm so happy with how it's looking. And as I said, I really do feel like it is officially our blank canvas that we can have so much fun with. So here we are with the official before of our dream country cottage garden. I'm going to call this the official before because this isn't even the before that we started with before. In fact, what I might actually do, I'm pretty sure I got a photo, which I'll pop here, of how the garden looked the day we moved in, because we have already done a lot of changes and I feel like we've already really made some progress with this garden, despite the fact that there is still an awful lot more to do. I feel like we've done so much already, and it's so lovely to see. The first thing that we really wanted to do was fix the lawn. As I said, we had that weird kind of like stepping stone, and they almost look like steps that kind of like encroached. There was also a border here which was beside the shed, which was just completely wrong because it was actually rotting away. The shed, we've had to replace quite a few of the wooden panels. I've had to repaint the shed because it was just completely crumbling, which was such a shame. And this area is actually really shaded. You can see now it's in shade because of like the big trees that we've got around us, and then throughout the day the sun swings around and the shed shades it, so the plants weren't really getting much sun at all, and they were actually really like enclosed in, they were really squished, and I wanted to kind of give them a new lease of life. So the biggest thing that we wanted to do is basically open up the lawn, and create so much more space with regards to the grass. So we've seeded the grass, which as you can see is looking a little bit patchy, but oh my gosh, it's looking so much better than before. This border we've also completely straightened up as well, because I know it's a trend to have like a squiggly border at the moment, but we just personally did not like it. It was almost like an S shape that they had the border, so it actually came in a bit further. It almost went all the way up to the clematis, which I thought is not enough space for that clematis to actually thrive. So it kind of came in here and then it came out, and I don't know if you can just about see this line. That's where the border came out to. So we've completely reseeded that grass there. We've reseeded the grass in the corner, which is coming back a little bit slower because, as I said, because that's in so much shade, that is coming back so much slower. And then we've also reseeded the grass here in the corner, which you can see it is coming through, which excites me so much. Our baby grass is growing, which is so lovely to see, because we were worried about how it was going to do, because it was literally concrete here. Like, it was concrete slabs that we had to completely dig out and re-soil and regrass. And I'm so happy to see that the grass is growing through. And it was only done 2 weeks ago that we actually put this seed down, and it says on the packet to give 2 weeks until you see any kind of progress. So I'm really happy with the amount of progress we're already seeing. So hopefully by the end of May we're going to have the most beautiful, luscious green grass, and it's going to look absolutely beautiful, no longer looking patchy like this. So hopefully we'll see the progress from that really soon, and by the end of May it's going to be beautiful. So yeah, I'm really happy with how much that's opened up this space, and I'm also really happy with what we've done over in this space over here. So as I said, we've actually created this border, completely dug up again at the patio tiles and put down the soil, and have created a bit of a blank space for me to create a beautiful border, because it's not going to be the biggest border in the world, but this was just complete tile. Like, we have a really big patio actually, which we're very lucky about. We didn't need that much space, and as I said, I love a foliage filled garden. I just want as many plants as possible, I want as many flowers as possible, and I really wanted this space to be a little bit more green essentially. So I really want to focus on height over here in this space. I want to create a border that's like got a lot of different height, it's got a lot of interest. I think will be absolutely amazing. So as you can see, I've already actually planted something up. Now this I'm gonna actually have to learn the name of. You guys are much better gardeners than I am, I swear. I don't know the official names of a lot of things, but this is basically a climbing hydrangea. And one thing you're going to learn about me is I love a hydrangea, because we have quite a few in the garden, including my new one that I bought yesterday. But I want to kind of create a bit of height. I would love to get some like beautiful antique climbing frames for it to go up, and I would love to do maybe like sweet peas, and then some like ground plants I think would be lovely. And I just can't wait to fill this space. I can't wait to say goodbye to these like plain fences as well. In fact, I'm actually so happy with how the fences are currently looking, because I don't know if you remember when we moved in, they were not brown. We painted these ourselves. They were actually a really odd colour, and I feel like this was a very trendy colour, and this is no offence to anyone that has this colour, that anyone that likes this colour, but they were this like really weird like charcoaly grey blue, and they're actually a similar colour to what we had in the garden at the old house, and I always hated them because I just feel like they look so dated. I feel like they don't suit the country cottage vibe. Like, this is a 1930s farmhouse style home, and they just did not suit that at all. And also they looked so like they had so much like green, is it lichen, growing up them. So we sprayed off the lichen, like we got rid of that, scrubbed them down, and painted them this beautiful colour. This is medium oak, and I'm so happy with how it looks. I feel like it just adds that like richness that we were really looking for in the garden, and I feel like it just suits the garden so much better. Also, do you know what's so funny as well actually is that they missed a lot of paint when they painted it themselves. I think they must have painted in summer, because literally behind this tree there was not a single drop of paint, so you could see the original like browny colour of the shed, the kind of like untouched like treated colour. So can you see? Actually, yeah, you can if you look closely. This is where they'd painted it blue, and this is where they'd missed it. So it's coming up really obvious on camera. It's not actually that obvious in real life, and especially when this tree comes into bud, hopefully it's going to completely cover it anyway. I'm excited to see what this tree looks like, because I'm not entirely sure what it is, but as you can see, it's almost coming into bud, and hopefully by the end of May it's going to be beautiful and green and really full. Goodness me, it's lovely to give this tour in the sunshine, but this light is making it a bit difficult for me to show you. There we go. So as you can see, I am a hydrangea lover. So we actually inherited 2 hydrangeas with the house. So this one here and this little guy over here, but they were actually squished in this border in the corner, and they were so neglected. I felt so sorry for them. They were really squished, and they were being taken over by the wild garlic. So we dug them up and we've moved them over this side, and I'm really hoping hoping that they are going to flourish this summer. I'm interested to see what colours they are as well, because I don't know if they're pink, they're blue, they're white. I'm so excited to see what they come out as. And as you can see, we already have a flowering plant. This is another one that was over the other side of the border that we dug up and moved over here. This is a beautiful rhododendron. And you guys, this is what I mean when I say you're better at gardening than I am, because I had no idea what this was before it flowered, despite the fact that I do actually have my own rhododendron over in the corner here. It just looked so different, so I wasn't quite sure what it was, but it's flowered and it is looking beautiful. I'm so happy that she survived. So fingers crossed our hydrangeas have also survived. And I love how they look with my little wind, what's this called? I don't even know what it's called, but like a little wind statue ornament. What would you call this? But it's so beautiful. And as you can see, it's not a windy day today, but when the wind does blow, they spin, and it's just so lovely to see. And again, as I said, I feel like it really helps with regards to that like bit of height that I really wanted to get in the garden, because these are quite low plants, so I really want to like continue that height. And this is the bit where we had to dig out the brambles, so we've got quite a bit of space to play with, quite a big amount of border here, which I'm so excited to fill. So I'm going to put lots more ground plants in here, because I think it will be so lovely to build it up a little bit. And I also want to build up underneath the clematis. So this, again, we inherited with the garden, which we're very lucky because it's very established, and I didn't want to completely get rid of it because it's a beautiful tree. But as I said, the previous owners were not quite gardeners, and they had just let her run wild. Like, she was completely covered. So I really wanted to basically hack her back into more of like a tree shape. So we still had that lovely like privacy from her, because I love her as like a privacy shield, but it just meant that it wasn't so like being taken over with foliage, and it just gives you a little bit of space underneath to play about with. And I've actually already planted up something underneath. As I said, I love a hydrangea. This is looking a little bit sad at the moment, but this is a hydrangea Annabelle, and I'm really hoping that she pulls through, because she has been eaten alive a little bit by slugs. We have a lot of slugs in the garden, again, because it's not really been touched, it's not really been like maintained by a gardener. So fingers crossed she pulls through and we get the most beautiful fluffy white flowers this summer. That would just be the dream. Oh, I love hearing the birds chirping away. But yeah, as you can see, we still have a little bit of the wild garlic, which I need to dig this out. So this is what I thought was snowdrops. Yeah, they're actually wild garlic, and they're very invasive, and I would not recommend planting it if you ever wanted to. So those are going to need to go, because something else is growing up next to my honeysuckle, which I'm not sure what it is. I'm really excited to see what's coming. And that's the nice thing about inheriting a garden, is that there are certain things that come up and you have no idea what they are. Like, I'm not entirely sure what this is either, but I quite like it. It's a nice low ground plant, and that's definitely the vibe I'm going to be going for with regards to this border. It's going to be low, it's going to be full and very foliagey, but I'm thinking like salvias, lavenders, maybe alliums, a lot of low beautiful plants that will last all summer long, because I don't want to detract from the view, and I don't want to like take away from that. It used to be this giant bush, it was about this high, and it just really blocked up the garden, and it just took away so much from like your viewpoint. So I'm wanting to keep the plants here very low and very, I want them to be like very, what's the word, like colourful, you know, purples, whites I think are absolutely beautiful, but I just don't want to detract from the expanse of the lawn. So yeah, I'm really excited to get going with this border as well. So we've got two completely empty pretty much borders that we're going to get to fill, which I'm so looking forward to. I'm also really looking forward to training this honeysuckle. I feel like every garden I seem to inherit, there is something that needs a little bit of training, something that's been completely neglected. The wisteria in my old garden was completely neglected, and I feel like this honeysuckle is completely neglected because it just has the tiniest little trellis. Can you see that? It's so small that the poor thing is clinging onto. So what I think I'd like to do is string up some string to go along this fence panel and basically train her to kind of come towards the house. I think would be so lovely, so that you get this like beautiful almost like wall of greenery. I think would be so nice. She's a very established honeysuckle as well, so fingers crossed we're going to get beautiful flowers this summer. I can already see some buds coming through, and I can't wait to smell her, because honeysuckle, if you don't know, smells absolutely incredible. So to have that right by the kitchen door as well, I think is just so lovely. So I'm sitting in my swingy chair, I'm just going to get the most beautiful foliage, I'm going to get the most beautiful scent coming from her, and fingers crossed we can train her to go along and just really kind of like take over this fence. One thing that I'm so excited about with this garden that I feel like I haven't had the chance to experience before is like zones in the garden. The old garden that we had at our old house, it was very lovely, but it was very much like what you see is what you get. It was very tiny, it was a very like boxy shape, and especially because of the bifold doors, I feel like you looked out and that was it, like that was all that was there. Whereas this garden, there's so many more kind of like zones that we can have a play around with. And I actually did have a little bit of a like not a breakdown, but I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know where to put the furniture. Like, I've never had this much like space to play about with. And actually, now that we've kind of negotiated where the furniture is going to go and had a look at like the space that works. I'm so excited to have these like zones in the garden that we can utilize for like different areas. We can utilize at different times of day, so obviously the sun hits the garden in different areas at different times of the day, and we can just kind of like make the most of and create almost like rooms within the garden, which I'm so excited to do. I've never had the opportunity to do that. Whenever I see people talking about it on things like Gardener's World, I just get so jealous. So I finally have my own garden that I can kind of like zone off and create like different areas too, especially because we have just such a big patio. As I mentioned, like we really didn't need this much space. We kind of wanted to make this more of a walkway instead of like an actual patio area to like sit in. So it's basically just a walkway to the shed now, and then I've popped our little patio furniture, which I absolutely love, our dining table over there, and then I've also popped the sofa. Obviously I've not got the cushions out because I don't really think it's quite warm enough to sit outside like that, but I almost want this to kind of be like a day area. So as you can see, I've got my little swingy chair, and then we've also got the garden sofa, which I love, and I've got big plans of what to do with the back of the house. I am planning on doing a jasmine coming up here. As you can tell, I love a climber, and I also love something that smells incredible. So I'm thinking the honeysuckle along here, the jasmine along here, it's just going to be so beautiful, so wonderful and wild, full of foliage, and I think it will really add to the kind of back of the house, because it's very much like a cottagey kind of vibe at the back of the house. You've got like the little windows, and it looks very like brickworky, and I just think it'll be so lovely to like break up that brickwork. So I'm thinking of doing a little planter here and then climbing jasmine up. As you can see, we still have the kind of like nails that were left in from when there was a basketball hoop here, so I'm planning on basically utilizing those. We took off the what looked like scaffolding that so many of you asked about when we first moved in. We took off the scaffolding, the basketball hoop, and I'm planning on doing like a lovely trellis and basically climbing some jasmine up here. I think would just be so incredible, and then just sitting, smelling the jasmine, smelling the honeysuckle, I think will be absolutely magical throughout summer. I also need to decide what to put in this little guy. I inherited this with the house, and I'm thinking maybe like some thyme, some herbs would be really lovely, seeing as though it's so close to the kitchen. It would be really lovely to do something that I can like utilize as well as looking beautiful. I'm someone that loves a pot. Like I love potting things up, and I do feel like pots add so much interest to a garden. So I've got this beautiful little olive tree here, and then I've also, as you would have seen, got a couple here, which I've put my little Zara Home outdoor lantern out, which is solar powered, and I absolutely adore her. It's so lovely to get a little bit of light in the evening. And then, as you can tell, I love a hydrangea. So not only do we have a climbing hydrangea, we also have a hydrangea Annabelle, and then we also have two that I don't even know what they are yet. I also bought this one. Now, I can't remember the name of this, but this is the hydrangea where they're a bit more cone shaped. They're called like no, I can't remember. I think it begins with a P, but I bought that and I potted her up, and I thought she would be such a lovely addition into the garden. I've put her in one of my favourite pots. This is a vintage one that I found at Robin's Nest in Southampton, which I would definitely recommend if you're looking to go antiquing. Robin's Nest have some of the best garden antiques I've ever found. She's literally broken, but I still love her and I still utilise her. So I've potted the hydrangea up in that, and then at my other olive tree, which I actually got these from Asda, which is such a bizarre place to get, but I saw someone put on TikTok like, PSA, there are some olive trees at Asda, like mini olive trees, for £7. You heard me right, £7. So I potted her up as well, and I love how they look. I just think it's so lovely to have that as kind of like a feature, and then hopefully once the borders come through, it's just going to be such a lovely area that's just really foliage filled and looking really beautiful. So that is currently how our little country cottage garden is looking. I'm not gonna lie, it's so lovely to give you a bit of a tour and like properly show you the progress that we've been making, because as I said, despite the fact that this is very much like the before of the garden, it is looking so much better than it looked before, and we have learned a lot along the way. Number one, it takes so much longer than you expect. Like we honestly thought it would be like 1 or 2 weekends out in the garden. We have been, I've lost count, so many weekends out in the garden trying to get it to this point, and it's been such a journey, like learning things about like, you know, obviously replanting plants. Like we've had to obviously literally dig up some plants, we've had to reseed soil, which we've never done before, and even, oh my gosh, paint. I have learnt this lesson the hard way. Paint never looks the same on the tin as it does when you actually paint it. The best piece of advice I can give, if you're going to be painting anything, look at the customer review photos, because that gives you a really good understanding, because it obviously looks so different depending on like where you're painting it, depending on what the undertones are, especially of like the fence panels and stuff before, and like the shed. Oh my goodness me, I made such a blunder with that shed when I first went to go get paint. I went to B&Q, we were looking at colours, and Also, one piece of advice, do not buy colour based off the name. Because there was a colour we really liked and it was called Scottish Highlands. And if you know me, you'll know Scottish Highlands are so important to both Alex and I. Like, we got engaged in the Isle of Skye and we absolutely adore Scotland and we'd love to explore more of the Highlands. So when we saw that paint colour, we were like, oh my god, amazing. It was like a beautiful, like, mid-toned green. I was like, that will look perfect. And the fact that we'll literally have Scottish Highlands in our garden, that is so, so lovely. I love that. So I bought the paint colour, brought it home, put a coat on, and when I tell you, it came out as like this luminescent, almost blue colour. In fact, I'll pop a photo here of what it looked, because it was horrendous. To the point I literally had to go back to B&Q and be like, this looks nothing like it looks on the tin. And I had to not have a bit of an argument, but the lady did say to me, like, look, this is a colour that's not refundable. But I just said to her, I was like, look at these photos and you tell me that that is this mid-tone green that it looks on like the photo of the tin. And she was like, no, yeah, to be fair, that does not look it. And she like did a little swatch and she was like, yeah, that's not really coming out how it's supposed to. As I was like, not at all. So luckily she refunded me, and she was actually really lovely in the end, because I said to her, I was like, look, I'm looking for like a beautiful, like really light, sagey, almost like olive green, and she recommended this one, which I can't actually remember the name of it, which is a good thing because you shouldn't buy paint colour based on the name. But I'm really, really happy with how it's turned out. It's just like a really beautiful green colour. And then, as I said, the fences, we went for medium oak, which I feel like really, really works with this garden, because it just really brings in that like country cottage vibe, like the natural tones, the natural elements. The blue just did not work, like the charcoaly grey. As I said, I feel like it was a really big trend a few years ago, and I'm really happy with the progress and how the garden is currently looking. So the official before of our country cottage garden. I hope you're excited to come on the journey with me to make it into our dream garden here in the New Forest. So a couple of gardening jobs on the agenda today to get us kick-started with the gardening content. I want to pot up my hydrangea, which I'm still undecided whether we do her in a pot or whether I do her in the ground, because I think she could look really beautiful in a border. It's something I'm really gonna have to learn how to do, because I have never really designed a border before, and I'm really excited to get going with designing this border. So if you have any recommendations of what works really, really well in a border. When I did do a few things in the border last year, I remember foxgloves worked really well. The salvia, I think, worked really well. I can't remember what else I planted up. I might have to go back and literally rewatch my own gardening vlogs from last year to see what worked well. Because there are certain things that worked really well in pots and certain things that actually did work well in the borders that we had in our old garden. So I'm really, really excited to get like planning a beautiful border here in this new garden. So I want to pot up my hydrangea, decide where she's going to go. And I also would like to string up the honeysuckle. I think it'll be really great just to add a few bits of string. It doesn't have to be complicated. Like, you don't have to buy a full-blown trellis. I might literally just nail 2 pieces of string to the fence and see if I can start climbing her through there, because I feel like that will make such a big difference to the space, and just see a little bit more greenery from the kitchen window will be so, so lovely. I also want to get out these, which have been in storage literally since we moved. These were a lovely moving in gift. I have 2 of them in a beautiful sage green colour, so my friends really know my colour scheme I'm going for in the garden, especially the colour scheme that we had before, because I've got the most beautiful. I can't wait to get the cushions out. Fingers crossed, looking at the weather forecast this weekend, it's looking really warm, so we might even get the cushions out, sit out in the garden and have a lovely weekend, or long weekend out in the garden, because it's bank holiday on Monday, which is very exciting. So yeah, they know my colour scheme. Beautiful green pots, and these are actually from the Heritage Pot Company, I believe is what they're called. It says on here Blossom Orchard Garden, and they go really, really well with some pots I already have. I love like a bit of a matchy, but a bit of a mix match with regards to my pots. I think is really lovely, so I can hang these up on the fences. And one thing I have learned from gardening, you know, I'm a novice gardener. I'm very much a hobbyist, amateur gardener that doesn't really know what she's doing, is just kind of winging it. But one thing I have learned is that height is so important when it comes to gardening. Just having things at like different heights, having different interests, and that doesn't necessarily mean you have to buy a climber. Like, as I said, I'd love to get a little antique climber to do sweet peas, to do my hydrangea around. But it also just things like hanging pots, hanging baskets make such a big difference to your garden. Just really add that like bit of interest. So I want to get these up, and I can start thinking about what I'm going to pot up in these as well. So big plans that we have for the garden. I'm really, really excited to see how it's going to transform it just even over this summer. I think it's just going to be so different from now. Like, it's really lovely to have this footage now so I can see what it looks like, and then we can compare that in maybe like September time and just see how the garden has transformed and changed, because fingers crossed we really are wanting to just create a dream country cottage garden here in the New Forest. So I'm planning on spending the rest of the afternoon out in the garden because, as I mentioned yesterday, I'm a fair weather gardener, and on a day like today it just pulls me to be outside. So I think it would just be the perfect way to spend a Tuesday afternoon, just soaking up the sunshine and just getting a bit of vitamin D, because Lord knows we have not had enough sunshine so far this year. But before we do our gardening chores for the day, I have a new delivery that I'm not gonna lie, it's a bit of a naughty delivery, but I was on their website the other day and I could not help myself. I picked up a couple of bits from H&M, and I feel like H&M just have the most incredible new spring pieces at the moment. I could have bought so many more items. I was very, very strict with myself, but there were two pieces that I feel like I really didn't have in my wardrobe and are pieces that I'm loving at the moment. Like, I don't know what it is. I think it has been the weather, because we just haven't had like the normal spring weather that we are used to at this time of year, but I've not really had a pull to wear my normal dresses. Normally at this time of year, I'm in my beautiful floral, flouncy dresses, slides, sandals, like pottering around the New Forest. This year, it's been so much more about like trousers and shirts. And when I saw there was one item, and I always feel like there is this one item that will always like push you over the edge to do an order, I just fell in love with, because as I said, I'm loving my shirts, I'm loving my trousers, and those like more, I don't want to say tailored pieces, but really beautiful, like timeless spring fashion items. And I feel like that's what I've been reaching for time and time again this year, particularly because of the weather, but also because they're so comfortable, they're so versatile, they're so wearable. So let me show you what I've been picking up. And this is the item that drew me in and made me place the order. Basically, I saw this on H&M's website and just fell in love. And if there's one thing you know about me, it's that I love a linen shirt. I love a linen shirt in spring, summertime, paired with like linen trousers, shorts, skirts. I just feel like they're so versatile and so easy to wear. And as I said, particularly with the weather, I've just been wearing loads of like shirts and trousers recently, because I've been really wanting to like give off the spring vibes, but I just haven't really been feeling like skirts or dresses. And when I saw this, I was like, that is the most Ellie shirt I think I've ever laid my eyes on. A beautiful like natural linen material in the most stunning floral pattern. How gorgeous is this? And it's not like ditzy florals, it's not like old ladyish, it's like a beautiful big botanical print. I am absolutely in love. I love the color scheme to it. It's like pinkies and greens. It almost looks like someone has literally painted on your shirt with watercolors, and I just thought that was beautiful. Now I knew this was going to be quite oversized, so I did buy it in a small. That is one thing I do find quite difficult about H&M, because this item I bought in the small and the next item I bought in a large, and it just goes to show how much you should never look at the label when it comes to your clothing items. Never let yourself feel bad if you've got a size up or size down, or like go for your normal, like a different from your normal size, because I swear to God, brands just make up the sizing half the time. But I'm envisioning this tucked into a beautiful pair of linen trousers, tucked into like some tailored trousers, worn with like linen shorts throughout spring, summer. I just think it's going to be so versatile in my wardrobe, and it kind of mixes in those two things that I love. Like I love florals and botanicals throughout summer, but in a bit more of like, I don't want to call this an androgynous look, but a less like feminine and girly kind of silhouette. I feel like there's so many different ways that you can wear this shirt. So fingers crossed it's still in stock, because I have a feeling that you guys are going to love this. Oh my goodness me, Summer Ellie is here. She's in the linens and she is one happy bunny. I am so obsessed with this shirt. I feel like I don't have anything like this in my wardrobe. It is absolutely beautiful. Now I haven't rolled the sleeves up, which is what I would normally do, because I love that like undone casual look, but I wanted to show you kind of just how oversized it is, because as I said, I picked this up in a small and it is still very loose, so I wouldn't go up a size at all. If you wanted it to be a little bit more oversized and baggy and casual, go for like a true to size fit, but I personally knew that I didn't want it to be too big on me, because I do find with shirts often if I go too big, it literally looks like I've stolen my mum's shirt out of her wardrobe. Like, it's not that cute boyfriend fit on me. me. I don't know if it's a petite girl thing or what, but for me, I much prefer it when shirts are just a little bit loose. Let me untuck this actually so you can properly see the kind of like fit and length of it, because it's like a really, really lovely length, and I definitely think I could wear this shirt on its own, you know, without being tucked in. It's like a really, really nice, loose, casual fit, which I think is gorgeous. I definitely need to give it a steam because it's a little bit creased up from the journey, but I've just paired it with linen trousers, which is what I absolutely love, and slides. And actually, I feel like H&M are killing it with their slide game at the moment. I've seen so many, which I keep linking on Instagram, and you guys are loving them so much. They've got some tan, they've got black, they've got white, and they are just so beautiful. So if you don't want to spend a huge amount of money on slides this year, I definitely recommend it. The H&M ones, they look absolutely gorgeous, and they look so similar to the designer version, so I would definitely recommend it, picking those up. But yeah, how cute is this shirt? I just love the pattern, I love the print, and I love the fit of it. I feel like the small is just such a perfect size. It almost gives me like the illusion of broad shoulders, which we all know I do not have, and I'm always looking for in my outfits. So yeah, just need to roll up the sleeves and kind of like make sure I'm not being overwhelmed by them, because that's something I am very self-conscious of as a petite girl. I like to like make things a little bit more casual, make them look a little bit more fitted and a bit more like almost undone in the best way possible. But I love the fact that because it's linen, it's going to get a little bit creased, it's going to look a little bit worn, and just it's gonna be so perfect throughout spring and throughout summer. So yeah, so happy with this. I think this was a great purchase to add into my basket, and something that you can probably envision I'm going to be wearing a lot over the next coming months. I think I need to give myself a little pat on the back, because this is officially the smallest H&M haul I've ever done. But I really wanted to only add pieces into my basket and buy pieces that are like really gonna fill a gap in my wardrobe. I don't have a floral shirt, and I don't have anything like this, a beautiful little short sleeved knitted cardigan. And I have just been wearing knitted cardigans non-stop this spring. The stripe one you guys are probably all sick of. I am absolutely in love with that. My boucle jackets I'm just obsessed with. I feel like they go with absolutely everything, and again, the kind of vibe that I'm looking for my spring outfits at the moment, where you want to like bring in those spring vibes, but it's still like, especially we've got still rain a lot forecast throughout May, and I feel like this will be perfect, again paired with just some like tailored trousers, a slip skirt if you want it to look a little bit more elevated. This is beautiful. I love the button detailing. I think it's so gorgeous, the little kind of gold buttons. And I believe this also came in a white, which I will leave linked down below. I'll leave both of these linked down below if you are more of like a lighter colored girl. But for me, a black is just so versatile. A black is just absolutely key in my wardrobe, and I know it's gonna go with everything. So I feel like this is another piece that I just think is gonna be so perfect to add in my wardrobe, that I'm going to be able to get a lot of wear out of throughout spring. Oh my goodness, I could not be more obsessed with this little cardi. This is exactly what I want to be wearing at the moment. In fact, this has been a bit of a uniform for me this spring. A beautiful pair of cigarette trousers, ballet flats, and then a cute little top on the top, whether I do a cardigan, whether I do my boucle jackets. But this is gorgeous. If you wanted to, you could definitely tuck this in if you really want to kind of give that like elongated leg look. But I actually kind of like how it looks, because it's a really cute little crop, and it sits quite nicely on my torso. So I'm really happy with that, and I love the button detailing. I feel like it just works so perfectly, and you could style this up in so many different ways. This is the perfect workwear piece for me, especially styled the way that I have styled it. But if you wanted to make it a little bit more casual, I'd say blue jeans, white jeans would be really cute to make it a little bit more springtime, and then maybe put like a trench coat over the top. I think would be gorgeous. But I love the fact that it's short sleeves. I feel like it really brings it into that like spring environment and makes it so much more seasonally appropriate, because sometimes when it comes to black, your outfit can look a little bit too autumn winter, whereas I feel like this is a very seasonally appropriate all black spring look. If you're wondering where the ballet flats are from, by the way, these are Vivaya, and oh my gosh, they are my favorite things in the world. I'll leave them linked down below. They are so comfy. They literally feel like socks. One thing I would say is they do need a little bit of breaking in, but as soon as you've broken them in, the comfiest things in the world. And I always love a pair of just like classic cigarette trousers, which I'm sure H&M will have, and I'll leave linked down below. So really cute little, very easy to wear, very like office appropriate, but can still be styled up for the weekend kind of an outfit. This cardigan is just gorgeous. I might need to pick it up. I think it was white if I remember the other color. I might need to pick it up in white now as well because it's just the cutest thing ever. I just had a quick look on H&M's website to see what was actually in stock, and I have just spotted something that they have brought out that I've had in my wardrobe for a couple of years now that I absolutely adore. I think they brought it out first 2 years ago, I believe I got this. They brought it back out last year and they brought it out again this year. The most beautiful black jersey dress. If you are looking for, I think it's safe to say, the world's comfiest dress that you can wear to anything, whether you're going to the office, you can wear it at the weekends, you can wear it gardening, because I am someone that loves just wearing my normal clothes whenever I garden. My mum used to literally have her like gardening dresses, which were usually darker coloured dresses, pattern dresses, floral dresses, that she can just potter about in the garden, wear her little gardening shoes, and I always loved that. So this, I love to garden in, I love to potter in. This is a great workwear dress. It is fab. They brought it back out for the 3rd time, so I'll leave it linked down below if you are looking for like the perfect, comfiest dress to add into your wardrobe this spring. I found it, I can testify, had it for a couple of years and still love it to this day. I am not going to lie to you, I do not know where today has gone. This afternoon has completely run away from me. I was planning on heading out to the garden, potting up my hydrangea, sorting out the honeysuckle, and I've actually just spent the rest of the afternoon literally sitting at my laptop doing admin work. So now feels like the perfect time to have a bit of a stretch, step away from my screen and head outside into the garden, because I have just been so excited to get kick-started with the gardening and getting it to a point where I'm really, really happy with. So let's go and head outside before it gets any later on in the day. Well, I'm not sure if you're going to be able to hear me because it has gotten rather windy this evening, but I'm not going to lie, I have been loving spending an evening out in the garden. I feel like this is therapy that I needed, especially after an afternoon on my laptop, just staring at a screen. If you've been working all day, there is no better medicine than heading outside in the garden, getting a little bit green-fingered, doing a bit of potting up, like planting some bits, having a little look at what's growing, training any of your climbers. It is my favourite thing in the world, and I'm just now sitting here listening to the evening bird song, thinking about how I really should be heading inside and starting to cook dinner, but this has just been the best medicine. So I think I'm going to leave this vlog here. I really hope you guys have enjoyed day 2 of Everyday May, and don't forget to subscribe and come back tomorrow for daily vlogs throughout the month. So I'll see you guys then. Bye.